They say that one man's poison is another man's passion. But what if poison is your passion?
I like where you're going with this, Ted. Let's turn this one into making the ultimate party animal character build guide.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Steve. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds.
Let's party on.
So today we're going to basically do a poisoner build, sort of, as we kind of alluded to. But, you know, we want to take it from a little bit of a different angle. Like, what is poison, right? At the end of the day, like, many people imbibe liquor and alcohol, which is technically a poison of such. You can die from alcohol poisoning. It just takes a lot of it. So what if we made a character that is all about creating alcohol and narcotics? And so they have expertise in poisons, but it's more like less poison, more drug.
So there's a lot of fun ways to kind of twist and bend. But, you know, as Dave says, this is a character build guide. So what does that mean?
It means several things. One, we're going to do the character sheet on D&D Beyond, the sponsor of this video. I want to thank them for that. You can check that out. We'll have a link in the description. Two, we're going to do a character build guide that you can follow along. You can go download it for pay what you want over on the DMs Guild. It's going to have the step-by-step guide for how we make this character and build it, as well as a custom NPC for Dungeon Masters to use in it as well.
If you're looking for another way to help out Nerdarchy, to keep making videos like this, as well as the great articles over on nerdarchy.com, you can always check us out on Patreon and support us there.
On Patreon, you'll receive special rewards, and we're changing things up a little bit. Yes, we're still making content for both players and DMs alike over there, as we always have been. As a special reward, if you want to get access to an encounter and other 5e content based around the NPC in this video done in our wildly successful out-of-the-box encounter style, it will be a next month's Patreon reward. Those rewards will include maps that are professionally done. Also, any player options that we do for that encounter will also be included. So you'll get that 5e content that you're used to getting from us, in addition to that out-of-the-box style encounter. We're going to be doing several of those a month over there. There will be a link down in the description, as well as the card up here, so you can go check that out. We even have like a free download sample that you can check out as well.
All right, so if we're going to make this particular character, and we're looking at alcohol and drugs, poison, shall we say, what kind of races are we looking at starting with?
All right, so there's actually a bunch of races that are going to give us either resistance or immunity to poisons. I mean, we want to poison ourselves, but we don't want to poison ourselves to death. So we want to have, and also like the idea that this character probably has a bit of a tolerance as well. So we have Dragonborn of the green variety. We have dwarves. We have grung.
So we also have the stout halfling. We have the human. You could wind up, choosing something when you go with the variant. We have the lineages. If you take the reborn, you can get into the poison resistance. There's going to be Yuan-Ti, and if instead of making the ultimate party animal and make the ultimate party machine, you could go Warforged.
You could go Warforged, and also Warforged are immune to disease as well. So depending on what kind of party your character is into, maybe he's got some bard levels. I don't know. Maybe he's like Data and he's anatomically correct from Star Trek. What are our class options?
Our class options are going to be, pretty wild as well. So we have Artificer if we're looking at the Alchemist. We have Bard and we have Druid.
We also have Monk, Way of the Drunken Master. Obviously makes a lot of sense. And of course, Rogue.
Now, that's a lot of different classes that, cover a lot of different stuff. And we're clearly not going to be choosing all of them. That is just way too many stats to cover.
It is. And also we want to, really at its core, we want a character that is kind of good at getting drunk and high, but also good at making the supply that they get drunk and high on as well. With that, what kind of backgrounds are we thinking of?
So for our backgrounds, we're looking at Failed Merchant, Gladiator, Urban Bounty Hunter, and Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about like, what did this character do before? So we feel like these backgrounds kind of work a little bit better than some of the other ones, especially based off some of our other decisions as well. So I guess from here, we're going to pick our stats. For our stats, Strength 10, Dex 14, and a Constitution of 12.
We're looking at a Intelligence of 15, a Wisdom of 13, and a Charisma of 8. So I guess you're already assuming we can cross Bard off the list.
That would be a good call. So, where are we going to go for our race?
Well, if it wasn't a big enough clue, and when I talked about races, we're gonna turn this into the ultimate party machine, and we're gonna go Warforged.
We are going to go Warforged. There's a couple things we're looking for. One, we want that resistance to poison. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, like, wouldn't Yanti or Grung be better? They're immune to poison. But the idea, this is a partier character. Like, they're here for the good time. They're here for the feels. If you're immune to poison, I don't think you can really get drunk or high.
So that definitely puts a big downer on this particular party machine. So we looked at it and we said, all right, this is the direction we're going to go. Not only are they going to get an extra skill, uh, but they're also going to get an extra tool that I think builds the foundation for who this particular character is. So for that, we're going to take medicine, so we understand how the anatomy and things function within the body. But we're also going to take herbalist kit. So this is going to give us, oh, let me make poultices and things that are a good thing.
Well, also, you know which plants to use when you're making your narcotics and stuff.
There is that as well.
As well. And also we get a +2 to con because we're Warforged, but then we get to pick a stat as well. I mean, we're not using the optionals where you just put them wherever you want, but you could. And we're just going to put that that +1 into intelligence.
So that's going to give us a nice solid 16 intelligence to start.
We're also going to get a language. We take halfling because, everyone knows halflings make the best pipe weed.
Indeed. All right, so we've got a race. Where do we go with a background?
We're going to go with Foul Merchant just because I think it's funny with the idea that he tried to set themselves up as a drug dealer, but they kept getting high on their own supply, and that is a terrible way to do business. Everybody knows that.
So this is clearly, a lot of comedic value, but especially as we get into the mechanical choices and the NPC, you're going to see that while hilarity ensues, this is actually a very, very practical character from a lot of different standpoints and a dangerous NPC when you get down to it.
So we're going to get access from Failed Merchant into investigation and persuasion. So we need to find the goods and the people, and we need to find the places to sell them and stay on the DL away from the watch. And then you got to persuade people to buy from you. So like they all worked out really well. But then we're also going to get a set of artisan tools, and we went with cook's utensils because hey, why not? What's better than halfling pipeweed brownies?
We're also going to get a language with this particular build, and we went with SYLVAN, just because it's in touch with nature, and
I feel like these goes to the Feywild for his shrooms.
So from here, we're gonna get to choose a class. Where are we going, Dave?
From here, for our first class, we're actually going to go with monk, and we're going to take 4 levels of monk. But before we get there, let's see what we get from being a monk.
All right. So storyline wise, this character needs to be put on the straight and narrow, and they're directed towards inner self and physical perfection, and clearly this gets steered in the wrong way.
We get access to history and stealth, as well as taking painting supplies, because I feel like they like to get real tranquil and creative.
So as their monk career begins to blossom, they eventually cannot pull themselves away from their more deviant nature, I guess you would say. And as we kind of talked about, way of the drunken master is what they're going to choose when they get to 3rd level,
which is going to give them performance and brewer supplies. So I think they're really good right now at being able to make the stuff that they like to enjoy and partake. And also we're kind of going with the storyline of it's a Warforged, they were created, and they're trying to figure out what is the meaning of life, especially when you're a constructed creature as opposed to a biological creature. And maybe they just decide there really isn't a point to life, and it's just like they're here to have a good time for as long as they can.
So at 4th level in monk, we're going to get our first ASI, and from here we're actually going to take the poisoner feat, which is going to give us access to those poisoner tools and allow us to actually create and use poison without doing any damage to ourselves.
Yeah, and it also means those that are resistant to poison aren't resistant to our poison.
So, which means, not only can he poison others, but if he creates things to imbibe himself,
that is absolutely true. I didn't even think about that aspect. Really, they just did it to get over their own tolerance and like make stuff more potent. So this wraps things up really nice for this character at 8th level, and you know, despite their deviant ways and hedonistic ways, they're actually pretty smart, and they really know their way around, you know, a chemical lab and how to use what nature already offers. And by taking Artificer for 4 levels, we're really going to get into that. In addition to that, we're going to be able to get our subclass and to actually take the Alchemist, which is going to give us access to alchemy supplies. So we're really good with this. And also, right, we're going to get Thieves tools and Tinker tools, but like, I don't know if you know any stoners or not, but they can like make a pipe or a bong almost out of anything. And that's, I think, where those Tinker tools come in. Like, those people just know how to make stuff and get it done. But even before that, at level 2, we're going to get infusions. So our infusions are going to be things like, there's a tankard that never runs out. There's the alchemy jug, a bag of holding they carry their stuff around in.
So all of the things that you're going to particularly choose with this character are going to be things that are for your creations, for the things that you're looking to build and make. And it's, you know, it's designed with that in mind.
So that 4th level is going to give us an ASI. I abhor odd stats, so I'm like, well, why don't we take resilient for wisdom? We'll get rid of the odd stat.
I have to absolutely protest. This character is about not making wise decisions. So purposely taking something to boost your wisdom and be better at staving off mental effects, I say no. So if it were me, I would absolutely go in an alternate direction. I would boost, you know, the more useful stats. But if you happen to live in a world like Dave does, where you have to balance out, you know, those even numbers, feel free. There's other spell casting feats that could add to, you know, your wisdom. So there's a lot of options for you if you really have to do that. But he wants to be resilient and grr to you.
Yeah, and also one of the things we're looking at the spells, like, you know, it already says reflavor your spells as an artificer. So like, instead of things that are, you know, anything that does poison damage in my mind is just like a narcotic, like the cantrip
Poison spray.
The cantrip poison spray is a great example where I think that, to me, they're just like holding their, like a fistful of powder and they blow it in your face.
Or they, you know, they've got a cigar or a cigarette and they take a hit and blow the smoke at you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and which means our 5th level of Artificer, we're going to take Alchemist Savant, which means those spells get to add your intelligence modifier to the damage, making them even more effective.
All right. So, you know, all told, I think this really locks down at 7th level when you get, you know, the proficiency in the alchemical tools, but it really nails down home at 9th level when you get that alchemical savant. And we've got 11 more levels to play with. Just kind of add a cherry on top of this character.
Yeah, it was kind of tough because we're like, well, we feel like we're kind of done, right? For what we wanted to do. But, you know, we're going to go to level 20 like we always do. So we just slapped on 4 more levels of Drunken Master, get more key points, you get Tipsy Sway. You're used to being drunk and moving around. So it's not a problem for you.
We're going to get an ASI, which we're going to dump that into dexterity. Not only is this going to allow us to have, you know, better save and better armor class, but if we actually have to get into fisticuff combat, it's going to do an extra +1 to hit and damage.
We're also going to get stillness of mind, slow fall, evasion, all these things that I think are like, I just imagine them like kind of bumbling out of the way, or having that like that moment of clarity where they just all of a sudden go sober, or maybe they've like drunken themselves too far around and they've come full circle.
Oh my God, I drank myself sober.
Yeah. And then from there, we're going to go back to Artificer and finish it off.
And through that, we're going to get a number of very cool things, access to more spells, but we're going to bump our intelligence up to 18 and then bump our dex up to 18 so that, you know, we're fairly well rounded. We've got some decent stats besides that, you know, that low charisma, but a lot of very fun things and a very useful character by the end.
Yeah, and not only that, we're also going to get tool expertise. So we have a lot of tools that we've used with this character. So they're going to have expertise in all of them. So they're really good at using them.
Absolutely. So I think that is one of the things that really, you know, solidifies this into being able to, like, I've got herbalists, I've got alchemists, I've got cooks, I've got tinkers, I've got thieves tools, I got alchemy tools, 6 different tool proficiencies, possibly more, and there's an expert at all.
So now the question is, how will we use this NPC in our game against our players, with our players? And I love the idea as is of using them as like a foil, a friendly foil. They bumble in at the wrong time. They make a scene. Players are trying to be quiet and stealthy, and this guy comes like roaring into the scene and trying to hand out beers to everyone, trying to convince everyone to come have a good time with them, come party with them. He's dancing to music that only he can hear.
The idea of that concept is pretty cool. I like the thought of this character being able to be a nuisance, in a very urban setting, that they don't understand that there's more to this character than meets the eye, and robot pun intended.
Well, yeah, and absolutely, and it could be like, the fact that they come off as like kind of loud and obnoxious and boisterous, but they're actually super smart, and they've just chosen this lifestyle, which is completely different than how they're wired, I guess you could say. But if we wanted to go in a different direction than from the actual character build, and instead focus on the skill sets that we gave this type of character, and go, okay, well, what if they weren't an obnoxious partier, but instead they were actually a purveyor of these strange substances, whether they actually be poisons or narcotics or strange potions and concoctions? We've got you covered. They actually run this mobile shop, if you would, the shop of dark delights. And we're, for that NPC, we're going to even change up like the race and stuff like that, and you'll be able to see it because we're going to have this over on our Patreon as a fully fleshed out encounter that you can drop into your game, including basically a TARDIS style wagon that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. But you could introduce the style character as someone who can either have information for them. Maybe they just need a specific substance to overcome a threat or a problem. Maybe you're going to do like a witch hunter thing where they're facing a monster and the monster is too powerful for them, but they need to get the special potion, substance, poison, whatever you want to call it. And this is the only person that can give it to them. They hear about this shop of dark delights, this traveling wagon. Maybe they have to track it down, find it, or maybe the wagon just shows up where you need it when you need it. And there they are, this person, and it's not just they sell this stuff, they actually make this stuff, and you may not want to mess with them.
And anyone who kind of gets into it needs to be able to protect themselves, protect their wares. This character certainly can. This shop could have a cook room, whatever terminology you want to use, where they make everything. They could. This character could be one who gets the reagents themselves, or it could be a quest giver that is used, and the party has to go off and get things for them. If you've got somebody in your game who kind of dabbles in these darker elements, shadier elements, if you will, they could be a frequent purveyor of the shop of dark delights, and this would allow this thing to be useful in a multitude of scenarios. And the fact that it travels, it can literally be anywhere it needs to be.
You could even combine these NPC concepts, and our party machine character is actually a hanger-on. And the players are always confused. Why does this person, this super serious person that is clearly a business person, keep this moron around? But it turns out, right, they're actually a genius when it comes to doing certain things, so they're super useful. Also being a Warforged, a construct, they're kind of tough as well. So they can also end up being security and a little extra muscle when need be.
Indeed.
So the question is, would you play this type of character? Maybe you've already played this type of character in your game. How would you build it? Would you do it different? Share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community down below.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those cool things like share, subscribe, click that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel. Come on back. But hey, you can't wait till then. Don't worry. We have another character build guide ready to go for you up here. We made the Dark Knight.
So until next time, stay nerdy.